the uncomfortable chairs. But anyways, excited to be here with you guys tonight. I'm excited to share with you what I have on my heart. I think it's going to be wonderful. But just a couple of announcements. First is Dinner with the Winners. Y'all are in a competition for that right now. How many are you going to be at Dinner with the Winners with all the winners? Okay, very good. If you didn't raise your hand, raise your hand. Okay, everybody look at the people with your hand raised. Say, thank you for making my job easier. You ain't even trying. Go ahead. Go ahead. Right? Hey, listen. Right? That's what makes it fun. What did R. Williams say? You beat half the people just by what? Showing up. Because the other half ain't even paying attention. They ain't even paying attention to the game. They're playing soccer. A butterfly just flew. You just stole the ball. In fact, it's even worse. They kicked it in their own goal because they weren't paying attention, right? Okay, I love it. So we have 10 slots. Okay, so top 7 personal producers yesterday through the 23rd. Okay, personal life producers and top 3 personal recruiters yesterday through the 23rd. So if you looked at GroupMe today, you saw we're going to send you daily updates on who's winning. It's going to be awesome. Make sure that you get your appointments sky high to make sure you get that done. Omar's going to be there, Chris Shepard, all the winners at Lely's Filet Mignon. Some of you go there and you order chicken. I don't understand what's wrong with you, okay? How do you go to Lely's with the greatest filet mignon in Detroit and you order chicken? Some of you are even worse. You order the lasagna, okay? It's like a vegetarian dish at Lely's Steakhouse. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You got $60 steak here and you get $19.95 lasagna, right, okay? So Dinner with the Winners, right, okay? Now let me ask the question again. How many are you going to win Dinner with the Winners? Okay, now if you didn't raise your hand, raise your hand. Say, I'm really thankful for you. I'm really thankful for you.
For the TV show.
In fact, we should take pictures of those folks and send them out to you for motivation. This guy, he still ain't trying. You can do it, right? You can do it. So we got Dinner with the Winners. Obviously, Dinner with the Winners is Friday night for the Friday-Saturday Builder School with Omar. So here's the agenda. 2 to 5 is product training. 2 to 5 is product training. So we have mutual funds, securities, right? Variable annuities, index annuities, PLPP, life insurance, the financial needs analysis, and recruiting. Those are the topics that are going to be covered on Friday, 2 to 5. 5:30 to 7:30, we have leadership meeting, right? So that's open to everybody as long as you consider yourself a leader. If you're here building the business, you want to build a great team, you're welcome to that. Okay, and so that's going to be below RVP. There's a separate meeting. You're going to have Omar, you're going to have Chris, you're going to have the top 4 below RVP speakers in the school. It's going to be awesome. If you're an RVP, we've got an RVP meeting. Dinner with the Winners will follow that. So that's 5:30 to 7:30. Okay, and then 8 o'clock on is Dinner with the Winners. Saturday morning is 9 to 4. Again, you can bring food or you can buy food there, but I wouldn't plan on leaving because we give you 30 minutes. There's nowhere anywhere close to that to get food. It's going to be awesome. So you should be wearing your Relentless Black. If you don't have Relentless Black, go on our store and get some Relentless Black. Get a t-shirt, get an OGO zip up, get whatever you want, but make sure you go and order soon so you have that there. We all sit in the same section. So if you're looking at the stage left, that entire left section is for Relentless, right? Okay? So listen, you should bring your noisemakers, your confetti guns. You should get ready for some crowd surfing if you're up front. So make sure your tries are in peak performance mode, right? To make sure you don't drop the stage divers. Okay? And listen, you got to be excited, right? Because we are the #1 team in this region by a mile, right? So everybody looks to us to set the tone. So we're excited. That means we tell our face we're excited. So everybody tell your face you're excited right now. You're excited. There you go. Right? Smile. Look excited. Be on time, right? Because winners are on time, right? And on time is late. Hey, listen, I promise you there's no magic happening in the urinal. No. So some of you be standing out there for 45 minutes like you got bladder problems, okay? But I know you don't got bladder problems, right? You're just standing out there in the hallway. Okay, so listen, nobody with the information to get you wealthy is in the hall. I promise you. They ain't in the bathroom. They're not outside on a smoke break, okay? So listen, make sure you're there the whole time. And great leaders, great minds think on paper. They think on paper. I just got an awesome book I'm so excited to share with you today. It came to the office from Bill Arender. And Bill just wrote a book, and it's his notes from the Art Williams managers meetings in the first 5 years of the company. So what he did is he went and he took the notes he had sitting there when there were 10, 15 of them for the first 5 years of the company, and he made it into a book of every meeting, detailed, right? So folks, listen, success leaves clues. He's worth $100 million, has a book worth of notes from the first 5 5 years of the company. Why? Is there a parallel there? I don't know if you draw it exactly, but I think that there's some wisdom there, right? And that great minds think on paper. So you should be having notes. You should bring a recorder, and then you need to review those notes, right? Because listen, you put them down on a paper, you never look at them again. That ain't going to help you very much, right? Okay. So get notes there. Be excited and bring what? People. If you are married and your spouse isn't there, I think you're making a mistake because you're growing and they're staying the same. And so what happens is there's distance. So you need to get your spouse there. You closed them on marrying your butt. You can close them on coming to a meeting for a few hours, right? On something that you want to make as your life's mission and purpose. Yes or yes, right? Okay. So you got to get them there. You got to get them there, okay? So get your spouse there, and then you need to be recruiting people like mad the next week and a half and get every single person there. Listen, big decisions are made at big events. Some of you have heard my story, but this is a part I don't tell a whole lot. There was a big event in October of 2006. Remember, I started September of 2006. I'd never been to a meeting because I worked on meeting nights, okay? And so there was a Super Saturday, and Assad, being the nice guy he is, he suggested that I come, but he didn't close me on coming, okay? And so my boss at the church who had recruited me, Stephen, he says, hey, are you going to this thing at Assad's office today? So honestly, Stephen, I'm not really planning on going. I'm just kind of spare time. I don't see myself doing a whole lot more than that in this business. I remember that conversation like it's yesterday in his office at the church, right? And he says, I really think you should go to that. I think you could be really good at this, and I'll give you the day off today if you'll come with me. So he literally bribed me to come to the Super Saturday. He paid for my ticket. He gave me the day off work to go to that meeting. And in that meeting, keep in mind, I've never seen a Primerica meeting before. In that meeting, I felt a feeling that I'd never felt in my life, right? It started to come alive on the inside of me that maybe I could have a life that was different than I was living then, right? And so I sat in that meeting, right? And Assad said, you need to bring your spouses, and if your spouses aren't here, bring them tomorrow. So I went home that Friday, and I'm like, Jess, you won't believe what I've just seen. You need to look at this. She said, I'm not coming. Saturday's my only day out. Working for the church, we worked on Sundays, right? Right. So we worked Monday through Friday and Sunday. So Saturday was our day off. She said, I'm not coming. It's my one day off. So I'm like, you need to come. So we get about a 10-minute disagreement, we'll call it, okay? Right? We get a 10-minute disagreement. What was the result of that disagreement? Folks, I'm a closer, okay? She agrees reluctantly to come to the meeting. She says, I'm going to be late, and I'm going to sit in the very back. I said, I don't care as long as you get there. She shows up an hour late. She sits in the very back row. I get up. I go to the back row to sit with her. And in that meeting, she saw me go up, and I got a little pin, a little Primerica pin, because I had just gotten my life insurance license, right? And she saw me get that little pin, and they played a video called You Can Cancun, 2006. And it was the incentive trip to Cancun for February. And she said, I didn't know we were competing for a trip. I said, well, I've been trying to tell you, but you're not listening to me, right? Okay. She said, well, I want to win. What do we need to do? I'm like, I've been trying to tell you that too, but you haven't been listening to me, right? So she decides she's going to go get licensed on November 30th. She passes her exam at 7 p.m. We had a big, how many of you, any of you who are into Christian music, you probably know the name Rebecca St. James, right? Okay. So like an old 90s throwback, right? Well, we had a Rebecca St. James concert at the church on November 30th for Ladies' Night. Big deal. She sneaks out of the event to go take her test, passes, and her pass notice got us to number 25 out of 25 winners in newly licensed. Okay, so follow this. Okay, so watch this. So we go to that event, right? We're dirt poor up to that point. Our dream trip is camping, okay? And so we go and we hear Mike Sharp. So you say, who's Mike Sharp, right? Mike Sharp's the highest paid guy in Primerica, the only $5 million a year earner. He's been retired basically since that point. But he spoke at that event, and he said something I played in my head 1,000 times. He said, basically, everybody who's ever won in Primerica had 18 months of total, absolute focus. Nothing else besides Primerica. They recruited a ton of people, and the people they brought in those 18 months were their team for the next 10, 20, and 30 years that they've overridden, and they built an incredible life from. And so she and I went back. We had a beautiful room. We had a stone jacuzzi on the balcony overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, right? So company knows how to put you in mind expanding places, right? And we sat there and we looked at each other. We said, we can do that. we'll commit to 18 months of total focus. And in that jacuzzi at that event, we made a decision that we were going to give everything we had for 18 months. 4 months later, I was an RVP making $10,000 a month. Why? So big decisions are made at big events. Folks, you have somebody that's not planning on coming that could be the next Ian Prukner. You might need to buy them a ticket. You might need to drive them there. Okay? But you need to get them there because you don't know what's going to happen at that big event when they see 1,000, 1,500 people there, right, who are winning, who are excited about their life, and they look and say, all these people can do it, I can do it too, right? Okay, so you need to be willing to go to war with people to get them to the big event. Why? Because they're not going to be your people very much longer if they don't come to the big event. Okay, let's just be honest, right? People who miss big events generally don't stay very long in Primerica. I've never seen somebody said, my secret to success, Anna, is I miss all the big events. They tell me to go, and I'm like, no way. I know better than you. I don't need to be motivated. I'm plenty motivated. That's why I miss half the meetings now. I'm so overflowing with motivation. I can't wait. I'd explode the office if I came, so I just stayed home, right? Okay, I never seen anybody give a motivational talk in Primerica about missing meetings is the key to success. Okay, so I've never seen that. So all that to say, if you don't have your Super Saturday ticket, right, you better get your dadgum Super Saturday ticket and get some people with Super Saturday tickets. If you're married, for goodness sake, close the person you close on spending your life with on coming to the dadgum meeting, right, okay? So that's announcement number one. Who's excited about announcement number one? Right, you got to be the most excited. Okay, next is Friday, March 31st. Y'all know we got a TV crew coming here from home office documenting the relentless magic. It's going to be redonkulous, okay? So let me give you some attendance numbers. Okay, so we kicked off the Troy meetings. We kicked 70 people out of here, said go to Troy, right? And the first two meetings we had, both over 200 plus people here. Okay, so it's grown back like instantaneously. It will be 300, 350 here, plus those guys, plus Bay City coming here Friday the 31st. You need to bring everybody. You should bring your mom. You should bring your grandma. Bring your next door neighbor. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have pie in the face afterwards. Okay, but you need to have the biggest confetti cake. You should have a confetti bazooka. If you can find one, okay, you should have that here because it's going to be absolutely awesome, okay? So make sure that you are selling that. If you have a social media account, you should go and put something to the tune of this. My office is being featured for a TV show because of what we're doing, the growth we're having. It's Friday, March 31st, so you want to come be a part of something special. I invite you out, right? Last episode was seen by over 1 million people. Shoot it out there and see what happens, right? You got all sorts of people that want to be TMZ famous, right? They can be coming here, okay? And you never know what's going to happen, okay? So make sure you're there. But we have an attendance competition right now for the following day, Saturday, April 1st. They're doing a filming at our home. And so the RVP team with the biggest attendance growth through the month of March, their whole team's invited over for that. So you're going to have an exclusive part on the show. It's going to be a big deal. We're going to feed you. It's going to be awesome. So make sure that you guys are fighting for that. We're putting that out on GroupMe all the time. So be watching that and decide that you're going to be the one that grows your RVP's attendance, right? Decide that you're going to be the one that gets that done. I think that's all the announcements we have right now. Very good. Thank you, Lynette. F&A boot camp this Saturday, 9 to noon. One requirement. You've already met half of it because you're here. The second requirement is you need to come on Friday too, because in Primerica, we don't pick and choose and treat our opportunity like a garage sale. We say, oh, I want to come to this training, but not that training. We come to all the trainings, right? So Tuesday, Friday is a must. Saturday morning, if you came to Tuesday, Friday, up in the main room from 9 to noon, I'm going to teach you how to do an F&A. I'm going to teach you the ins and outs. I'm going to teach you all the tricks of the trade. I'm going to teach you how to get through it in about 20 minutes, okay? How to get referrals, how to close ancillary lines of business, how to recruit on the F&A, right? When you leave here Saturday, you're going to be an F&A pro. You're going to know exactly what to do with that, and that's a big deal because if you're just selling and you're not going back to do F&As, you're leaving a ton of money on the table, a ton of money and a ton of referrals on the table because the F&A is our value proposition. That's what makes us different than a financial advisor or an insurance salesperson, okay? So you need to make sure that you're here for that, but again, you got to be here today, which if you're hearing me right now, you're good on that part. If you look at your neighbor and say, thank goodness you lucked out, right, okay? And the next meeting, which is Friday, okay? So let's go ahead and get started.
Is it going to be down here or upstairs?
It's going to be upstairs. No, it ain't. We ain't going to fit everybody down here. Okay, so, I was reading a book that I'm going to recommend that you all get. It's written by a good friend of mine. I'm actually going to see if we can't get them out to Super Saturday. It's called The Art of the Struggle by Reginald Flowers. You should go online and get it. I'm about halfway through it. It's wonderful. Okay, and he talks a little bit about what I'm going to share with you, but then there's another book that I want you to get called An Enemy Called Average by a guy named John Mason. And I'm taking my RVP Madman and my Builders Madman. So these are the top RVPs and the top below RVPs, right? And I'm taking them through this book. And he discusses in it a concept of mediocrity. And he had this visual. I made the visual, but he had this painting of words. And I read it, and I'm like, wow, that is an incredible description. And it made me think of this. And in our old, how many of you were with us at 1080 Opdyke? Okay, so how many of you were in 1080 Opdyke before we remodeled and took over the other half of the building? So you two will remember this quote was on my wall behind my desk. It's one of my favorite Art Williams quotes. He said this: almost is a way of life for almost everybody in America. I want you to stop and think about what that really means. Almost is a way of life for almost everybody in America. And what he was talking about was the rampant destruction of average and ordinary, right? That Americans, right? The greatest generation, the heroes of World War, the people that took our country to a new level in every area, right? That next generation, the generation after that, we became a bunch of settlers. We just started settling for average and ordinary. See, we've been removed from a fight. If you're in our generation, you've never had to fight for the freedom we have, right? You've never seen real evil happen, right? Like you saw in things like World War II, etc. So you've never had, everything we have, we've been given, right? And so somebody said once, just because you were born on third base doesn't mean you hit a triple, right? Okay? And a lot of us, we're born on third base, right? In the United States of America is middle class, right? Middle class is like wealthy in every other country, right? So the comfort of the middle class, although it's nice, it's also our greatest enemy. See, the greatest enemy of great is what? Good. It's not bad, right? Bad is actually a lifter, a catalyst to great. Because when you got things bad, you want to change it. When things are bad, you want to change it. It's when things are okay that we're in danger, right? And the truth is, most of us are in danger of living an almost life. Most of us are in danger of not really being awake. In the book On Fire by John O'Leary, he has a chapter in there called Awake, and it really hit me. He said, most of us are sleepwalking through life. Most of us are sleepwalking through life. We go to the same job. We have a marriage that we're not on fire about anymore. We're just kind of cohabitating in the same place. We're sharing the same food. It's just what we're used to. We have kids, they're on their video games and we're watching the TV. And so we're existing together, but we're not really living together. And most people are that way with what they do with their life's work, where they spend the greatest hours, the most amount of hours of anything they do, right? They spend more time at work than they do with their family. They spend more time at work than they do sleeping. They spend their greatest years of their life doing these things they're not in love with, they're not excited about, and they're not really alive. They're just doing the time. They're on autopilot, right? And I didn't want that life. I didn't want to be average and ordinary. Art Williams said, call me anything but average and ordinary, and I didn't want to be an almost person. I didn't want almost to be a way of life for me like it is for everybody else. They almost get it done. They're almost there. They're almost going to go full time. They're almost ready to make a commitment. They're almost is a way of life for almost everybody in America. And why is that? And it's because of this, right? So I've shared this quote before, but I think we need to look at it again. We settle for mediocrity in our life. And there's a word here I want you to get, because we're going to get to that in a second. Settle, okay? We settle for mediocrity because it's believable and achievable, and this is the big one, and because it's what we think we deserve. See, all we've known is people who've gone and struggled to just make ends meet, to be okay and live the middle class dream, Right, okay? So that's all we know, and so that's what we think we deserve. We're not like those privileged people, right? We're not like that. I used to drive to work at the church down $1 Million Mile. I used to think, what do these people do? What do they know that I don't know? They're living in these big houses, and I struggle working 70 hours a week to pay for this little house. How could that be? What do they know? And really, it's because we think it's what we deserve. But God has so much more in store for us. Get that down. Why do we settle for mediocrity? Because it's believable. We see it everywhere. We see it everywhere, right? I had somebody say to me once, you and Coop are the only guys making huge money in Primerica. I said, that's one more than I needed. That's two. I need to see one, right? Because when I looked around, see, when I came into Assad's business, Assad was making 500, his Uncle Ramsey was making 175, and there wasn't another human being in his business with a ring on for 100,000, and he'd been here for 15 years. And you want to know what one of my friends told me? He said, my brother worked for Assad. He left because Assad was making money, but nobody else was making big money, right? And I saw that, right? And guess what? What they did had nothing to do with me. I decided, well, I just won't do what they're doing, right? Like this guy making money, I just need one. I need one person making money. I'll do what they're doing. I'll see what these guys are doing that's different than that, and I'll use that as a warning, right, of what to stay away from, and then I'll go from there. Right, okay? And so listen, we've got to understand that if we got an example in front of us, right, it's achievable. Right? Do you understand that? So we see mediocrity as being believable and achievable because it's everywhere, but we're looking at the wrong thing. You got to fix your eyes on the prize. You got to look at where you're going, not at what's around you, because if all you're looking at is what's around you, you're going to stay where you are. Everybody understand? Right? So you got to get a different vision about where you're going. Right? So in the book, An Enemy Called Average by John Mason, it starts with this. Mediocrity is a region. Get this picture in your mind. Mediocrity is a region bound on the north by compromise, on the south by indecision, on the east by past thinking, and on the west by a lack of vision. So he kind of draws you this picture in words that mediocrity is a space, and the boundaries of mediocrity are these four things. And I began thinking about almost as a way of life for almost everybody in America. And why is that? And it's because we're all bound in this box of average that we want to get out of, but these are the things that hold us inside. And until we know, we can't change it. Right? But like G.I. Joe said, now you know, and knowing is what? Half the battle. The other half the battle is doing something about what you know. Doing something about what you know. So I drew this little picture here. Thank goodness I wasn't an artist. But this is what I saw, right? This is what when he wrote that, I pictured this in my mind. Here's mediocrity, the place where the truth is, most of us will stop in our lives. Right? We'll have an okay job, we'll have an okay family life, we'll have an okay health, we'll have an okay retirement account, we'll take okay vacations, our kids will go to okay schools, we'll drive an okay car, we'll have okay dreams, and we won't ever change the world. We'll do our time and we'll expire, and 300 years from now it will be as though we never lived. Because we will have affected no one, because listen, average doesn't change the world. Average doesn't change the world, okay? So I looked at this and I'm thinking, man, how many times have I been caught in that? And so what I want to go through with you tonight is these four things. And I want you to leave here tonight with an action plan of what you're going to do in these four areas to change where you are. Because listen, by a show of hands, how many of you want to do something bigger than you're doing right now? That's everybody in this room, right? Okay, but we're being bound from doing that by something here. Yep. Right? And so if that's the case, then we should figure out what that is and start moving them, right? We begin to live on purpose and our goals and dreams become a reality instead of living on default, right? Things happen to us instead of us happen to things. So I want you to think about this. And so at the end of the day, you're going to get a choice in that. You're going to take the information we're going to go through. It's going to be a little more interactive than normal. I'm going to have you writing some stuff. So if you don't have a pen and paper, you should get one, okay? Or get out your note taker on your phone, okay? But at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be given information that you can use as a catalyst to change your life and to move yourself forward and to change the lives of the people that you recruit. Right? Because the people that come here, that join you, are hoping that you're the one, Rob, that's going to take them to the promised land. Right? Okay, and a leader is one that knows the way, goes the way and what? Shows the way. Right? Do you understand? So we got to get our stuff in order so we can help others get their stuff in order. Right? But here's the deal. It's not that some people have willpower and some don't when it comes to affecting the change. It's that some people are ready to change and others are not. So here's the question. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to grow? Are you going to come here tonight and are you going to take the information and run with it? See, I couldn't wait to come to the next meeting when I was where you were because I knew I was missing the pieces I needed of the puzzle, right? Not like I was mentally retarded or something, like I didn't have all the pieces there. Like I was missing the pieces of the puzzle to success. If I had all the pieces, I'd already been successful. You understand? So phase 1 is get the pieces. Phase 2 is have somebody that's built the puzzle help you build the puzzle. Right? Does that make sense there? So it's not that some people have willpower and some don't. Some people are ready to change and others are not. So let me ask you, are you ready to change? Are you going to take what you learned tonight and do something with it? Now, like I said, I was always excited to come to the meeting because I knew I'm going to get another piece of the puzzle. And eventually when I put the puzzle of my dream life together, I'm going to have what I built. Right? And so you're going to get a lot of pieces of that puzzle tonight that I think are going to help you unlock. Right? So let's talk about compromise. Right? And I could spend an hour giving a talk on compromise. Because if you think about compromise, what's compromise? Compromising, if you have to compromise with somebody, Chris, what does that mean? It means you're going to give up some of what you want, and I'm going to give up some of what I want so we can have something in the middle. But the problem with the compromise is neither of us gets what we want. Right? We get part of what we want. But it's a lose-lose. Right? And see, in Primerica, you don't have to compromise. It's not family or business. It can be both family and business, right? You don't have to compromise. Why? Because of our structure. It's not time for money, so I have all the money in the world but no time. You can have everything you want. You don't have to compromise. You don't have to settle. Compromise, right, is the art of settling on something. The art of settling on something. And so here's the $1 million question I want to ask you tonight. I want you to write down 3 areas in your life where you have settled for less than your best, for less than you really want. I want you to take a second and write down those first couple things that come to mind. I don't know exactly what it is, but we all have them, right? Are you doing what you dreamed you would be doing when you were younger? Is your life turning out exactly like you've hoped? Are you having the impact that you desire? Are you living in the home you always thought you'd live in? Are you driving that car that you really wanted to drive? Do you have the financial security that you would really want to have if it were up to you? Because it is up to you, right? Are your parents maybe in the situation that you would have them be in if you were in control? Where are you settling? Where are you stopping short of what you know you could have, what you know you could be, what you know you are capable of? Where are you settling? I want you to write down 3 things. And some of you got a whole heck of a lot more than 3. I know I do, right? Okay, but compromise is the art of settling. And see, when we settle, it kills our ambition, right? Okay, that's good enough. I did that, good enough. My car is good enough, right? The problem with good enough, right, is that standard is being set by who? By you. It's by your thinking, right? Okay? But listen, there's bigger thinking that's available, right? Okay? And the bigger you think, the more difference you make. See, the most selfish words in the world are, between me and my spouse, we're doing okay. Right? Okay? Why is that? Stop and think. Right? So today at my house, I had a guy over there running my cable. I had a tech guy over there setting something up. I had a worker over there fixing things. I have 4 people at my house today, all day long, fixing crap for me. Okay? So because I wasn't satisfied with good enough and I went for something, not only did my life get better, but now there are other people's lives, right? Other families' lives that are being blessed because I went and got some more than I needed, right? Does that make sense? And so now I have people working because of what I did, right? You look at a guy, say like Donald Trump. Some of you like him, some of you don't. Fact of the matter is, who needs $10 billion, right? Okay, but because somebody decided I want $10 billion, there's about 10,000 people whose families survive because of that. If that guy wasn't having a business to do, right, does this make sense? When we settle, we hurt ourselves, but we hurt the others around us. We stop our ability to impact because all we're concerned about is our own immediate need, right? Our own immediate need. When we're concerned about our own immediate need, we're takers of society. Does this make sense? We're consumers. I'm consuming enough and I'm okay with the amount I'm consuming. See, when we have more than we need, we can become contributors to society, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So compromise is the art of settling. Where have you settled in your life that you know you're supposed to do better? You know there's more inside of you than what you've done. Right? Maybe it's in this business. Maybe you've settled with what you've been doing so far, and you know you're supposed to do this, and you know you're supposed to go full time, but you're scared and you're nervous. You know you're supposed to be an RVP, but you've settled maybe out of fear, right? Or because things are okay, right? You've settled. Okay, where have you settled in your life that you need to unsettle? Right? Okay, so somebody explained it like climbing a mountain. Okay, right? We're climbing up and it's tiring and we get to a little plateau and we pitch a tent there just for the night. And pretty soon a night becomes 2 nights and becomes a week, becomes a month. How many of you, and I won't ask you this, but know somebody who said, I was just going to be at that job for a little while. And 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, a lifetime later, they're still there. Why? They settled. They took their dreams and their desires and everything they hoped, and they put it inside of the box of their current reality. They put it inside of the box of their current reality, okay? So are you living out of the box or in the box is the question. What are 3 things that you need to do, right, that you can look at that where you have compromised, you've settled in your life? I want you to write those down. Many of us are not getting what we've ordered from life. And so we have an opportunity. We can send back what we didn't order, or we can choke down the food that we don't want, bite after bite, because it's what life has handed to us. And the truth is, if we're being honest, most of us wake up every day choking down an order that we didn't want. Yeah. I don't really like this, but at least I have something to eat. Right? Okay, listen. It's good to ask God for your needs, but it's better to ask God for your dreams, okay? Because when you ask God for your dreams, it shows how much you trust Him. I know you can do this, but I believe you can do that. Does this make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, so most of us are not getting what we ordered out of life. Are you going to send it back, or will we choke down the food? Okay, and I love this quote. Most of us are dropping buckets into empty wells for our entire life. Dropping bucket. I love that visual of putting a bucket down, reeling it down, bringing it back up. Our hopes is maybe it'll be full this time, and it's just another empty well. It's another empty promise. It's another empty promotion at the job. It's another, well, I'll just be here a little while longer. When I get this in order, when this goes right in my life, then I'll start doing something. Right? When I get to this point in my career, I'll start to focus on my family, whatever it is, right? We're dropping buckets into empty wells, right? It's a picture of doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a what? A different result. See, if we want a different result, we've got to have a different input. So I want you to think about indecision, right? I have not decided. Indecision. And the truth is, right? A handful of you in here, you've decided, man, I'm a lifer here. This is what I'm going to do. Why? Because it's the right thing. Because I love our crusade. Because people need what we have. Because I'm supposed to be somebody. Because I'm supposed to do something with my life that matters. Because what we do is just and right. Because we serve the people that nobody else wants to serve. Because we stand for people that nobody else are going to stand for. Because we're the voice for the voiceless. You can't talk me out of it. I'm not for sale. This is my place. This is my line in the sand. Some of you have made that choice, right? But some of you, right, your dream's for sale. You get a $10,000, $20,000 salary bump, and they relocate you, and you'll uproot your family, you'll leave your kids' school, and you'll chase a buck, and you'll give up on your dreams for just a little bit more, right? The act of indecision kills so many people because, listen, when you haven't decided, every obstacle is an opportunity to reevaluate. Every obstacle is an opportunity to reevaluate. This happened to me. I didn't like it. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe God doesn't want me here because it's supposed to be easier. I didn't think it should be this hard, right? Because an undecided heart finds an excuse. A decided heart finds a way. You understand the difference there? A decided heart finds a way. An undecided heart finds an excuse. Are you going to be an excuse finder or a way finder? And it comes from making a decision. John Maxwell said this in a book, and it really changed my life. He said, you got to make the big decisions now. In moments of peace and rest and prosperity, you make the big decisions now. Here's how I'm going to react when this happens. So that when it happens, you've already decided your course of action, and now you just need to walk it out instead of having to decide in the heat of emotion, in the heat of battle. Does that make sense? See, when you decide, when my best guy quits, I'm just going to find 3 more. That way, when it happens, you're not like, oh, Lord, my best guy quit. Maybe I should, right? Does this make sense? Right? Okay, so, right? You want to stop drinking. So you decide, hey, I'm not going to drink. So when I'm at the bar with my 3 buddies and they're like, come on, man, you can just have one. And you're not in the heat of the moment making a decision. You say, hey, I made a choice already. All I have to do is execute the choice. I don't have to make the choice. Good. That makes sense? Think about it. Why do we put people on automatic draft for their life insurance? They don't have to make the choice every month. If you send them the bill every month they got to redecide to pay that, don't they? They got to get out the checkbook, they got to decide to pay again, versus it just automatically comes out. See, we got to make the big decisions in life. Hey, how are you going to react when money gets tight? How are you going to react when you don't know where to go and who to talk to, and you're realizing, man, I'm not as good as I thought. I haven't dug my well deep enough. I'm thirsty, and now I got to dig again. How are you going to react? How are you going to react when you have family trouble? How are you going to react when somebody around you gets sick? How are you going to react when this thing happens or that thing happens? See, you got to decide up front how you're going to react so that when those things happen, you make the right choice. Because choices under duress are not good choices most of the time. See, I see so many people make permanent decisions based on temporary circumstances. It's crazy, right? And so the act of mediocrity is bound on one side by indecision. I haven't really decided, and so I'm always bouncing from one thing to the next. I'm always half in and half out. I'm always reevaluating, and instead of taking the emotional energy and effort I have to do that and moving forward, I'm always spreading it paper thin on all the options. How many of you are married? Raise your hand. Okay, I love this example. Think about it like this, right? When you're not married, okay, you spend an inordinate amount of time, money, and mental effort trying to impress people of the opposite sex. Yes or yes? How do I look? What am I wearing? Where do I go? What am I going to say to this person? I hope they like me, right? And you're always in this, what if they start liking somebody else? It's up in the air. How many of you have ever had somebody you liked and they didn't like you back? Or they did like you for a while and then they stopped liking you. Okay? Right? Okay? So, and how does that feel? And then you got to start all over again somewhere else, right? And you do that 4, 5, 6, 8 times over, and all this money and the time you spent trying to get to know these people that lead to nowhere, right? Okay, and stop and think about it like that. And then some people, they'll look at marriage, they'll say, marriage, I don't like the commitment of that. I mean, one person forever, but that act of commitment brought you total freedom from all those other things, and all that other time, and all that emotional anguish, right? Because you had one person you're committed to. So now you don't have to look at the rest of it. And it's freedom. Total commitment brings total freedom in that area. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? Okay. In my opinion, if you're married, you're a heck of a lot freer than somebody who's not, because you always got to be on your A game. When you marry, you come out wearing your sweatpants, your stomach's sticking out, you're burping at the dinner table, right? Okay, and you're like, hey, that ain't no big deal, right? Okay, now you should try to put your best foot forward there too, but you understand what I'm saying, right? You're getting the gist, right? Is it buys you freedom, and that's where the act of deciding brings you total freedom. When you've decided this is what I'm going to do, you're totally free, because now you're not evaluating other options. Somebody says, hey, I think I could get you a job here. I think it's hey, I'm not for sale. Thanks so much for the offer. Not for sale. My dreams aren't for sale, unlike yours, right? Okay? So you got to have that decision made, and the act of indecision keeps you an average and ordinary, because sooner or later, if it's not this, somewhere You're going to have to draw a line in the sand and say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm about, and I'm not doing something else again. I'm not starting over somewhere new. I'm not having to go through this whole process of learning something, getting good. You're going to have to draw the line in the sand sooner or later, yes or yes. Yeah. Or you'll go from thing to thing to thing, being good but never really great. You're caught in the box of mediocrity. You understand that? Yeah. Now I want to challenge you, right? Make the decision now. You'll never miss a big event. That way, when something comes up, your decision's already made. Hey, wait, I made a decision in my life. I don't miss big events. This is something that's challenging that decision. So now I'll make the right choice, right? Because even though that might look good, hey, I've decided. Does that make sense? When you decide, you put to death other options, right? Think of other words that end in IDE, suicide, homicide, pesticide. You a rodent, you done, right? Okay? What does that mean? It means to make permanent. See, here's what I've learned. This is one of the greatest quotes I've ever seen. The successful are quick to make decisions and rarely ever change them. And the average and ordinary take forever to make a decision. They'll change them like that. Stop and think about that. You couldn't talk me out of this if your life depended on it. You couldn't. Why? I've decided. Now you're going to decide to do 12 things in the next 5 years, and I'm still doing the same old thing. The same old thing, right? And you're going here, 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 and here. Why? Because you make a choice, and then you unmake the choice. Right? The successful make the choice, and very rarely, if ever, change that choice. They just stick through. They just keep going. Eventually, right? Before I can be good, I've got to be bad. Before I can be great, I've got to be good. Before I can be excellent, I've got to be great, right? And so the successful look and say, hey, if I keep doing this long enough, if I keep purposefully growing, it doesn't almost matter what it is, I could become good at it, right? The mediocre think, I'll just go find something I'm already good at, or I'll find something that's fun, right? Okay, and the problem is they got to keep starting over and over, and they get trapped in that box of mediocrity. So I want to ask you, what are 3 decisions you need to make that you've been putting off making that you need to decide? It might not have anything to do with the business. It's one of the things I love about our business is you can take this crap and you can like do life with it, right? You can do life with it. You can become a better parent, and you become a better spouse. You become a better... Why? Because you become somebody who knows who they are and what they want and where they're going, right? So what 3 decisions do you need to make that are like in the sand? You planted your flag, you're done. You're not making another choice on that. You've made your choice. See, Jess and I made a choice that divorce wouldn't ever be an option in our house. And some of you have gone through that, and I can't imagine the pain you went through. It probably jacks you up a little. I couldn't imagine it, right? Okay? Right? But we made a choice that wasn't an option for us. That doesn't mean we haven't had fights, knockdown, drag-out fights. You ever seen her gun? She takes care of me, right? Okay? But that's not an option. So at the end of the day, we know, hey, look, what you do, what I do, we're in this together, right? I mean, it just is what it is. Some of you think that might be old-fashioned. Some of you think, well, I don't know how that works. But see, the choice, I made the choice, and so every action filters through the choice. And said, I'm in a fight with you right now, and I can't stand you, and you can't stand me, and you hurt me, and I hurt you, and this, let's just be done, because that's easier in the moment. Right. Because guess what? It's still easier in the moment, but it ain't easier for the lifetime. Right. Do you understand? Half your money gone. half the time with your kids is gone. You know what it breaks my heart when I have talks with people who are divorced with kids, because it breaks their heart to look at their kids like that. That's not what they signed up for, but it's where they ended up. Why? Because the decision wasn't made. It was made at some point in the heat of a battle instead of up front and then defended. Does this make sense? I'm not preaching at you, right? You understand what I'm saying to you? And those of you who've gone through that, like I said, I can't imagine your heartache and your struggle, but I see it in your eyes when you talk about your kids and having to be away from them and who gets who on holidays. I know you didn't want that, right? I know you didn't want that. I know you wouldn't choose it. But life has a funny way of choosing for us when we don't choose for ourselves up front. That makes sense? Okay? So what are 3 decisions you got to make? Number 1, okay, And what are 3 decisions you must hold? What am I saying by that? What are 3 choices you've made that you're tempted to unmake?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying there? Right? You better hold your fort, baby. Hold your position. You better hold that fight down. Right? Because guess what? You begin unmaking stuff, you are caught in the box of mediocrity. I promise you there's a way. There's a way, right? I don't care what it is. There's a way. You don't know what you're doing here, and you don't know if you can keep going. I promise you there's a way. You don't think you can stick it out with that person. I promise you there's a way. Right? Okay? So think about this. What 3 decisions do you need to make, and what 3 decisions do you need to hold firm on and not unmake in your life? Okay? And I challenge you to write these things down and to look at them long and hard and to think about them, because this is where life happens, right here. What I'm teaching you here will dictate the outcomes of your life, directly or indirectly. The choices you make, the choices you unmake, the choices you're unwilling to make, those things are the fabric that builds your lifetime, right? Okay? Limiting beliefs, which are our chains to the past. The only thing that stops you from being everything that you ever dreamed you could be and 100 times more is the limiting belief about who you aren't and what you can't. Okay? We all have them. I have them. I have a lot less of them than I used to, but I still have them. And we all have them. If we're being really honest, there are ways we see ourselves, right, that if we said that to somebody else, they'd be shocked. If we talk to somebody else the way we talk to ourselves, they'd be shocked to hear us talking to ourselves like that, right? What are the limiting beliefs that hold you back? Well, I'm just not a great salesperson. That's a limiting belief. You're any person you want to be. You want to be a great salesperson? Great. You want to be a great mom? Great. You want to be a great friend? Great. You want to be a great gymnast? Go sign up at Stars and Stripes. Tumble your butt around there for a little while. You'll be okay. Right? You can be anything you want to be. End of story. Right? And some of you are like, oh, I don't know. I can't be in an NBA. I didn't say you could be in any position you want to be. I said you could be anything you want to be. You want to be a great basketball player? You can be a great basketball player. Whatever it is that you want to be, you can become if you want to bad enough, and if you're willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy required to learn that skill set. There's nothing off limit, right? Okay, we're human becoming, right? Not human beings. We're human becomings. What are you becoming, and what is this stopping you from becoming? Because if we don't start with the end in mind, then how do we know when we're there? How do we know if we're going in the right direction? How do we know if we're being held back by these limiting beliefs? I'm not a great recruiter. That's a limiting belief. I can't get people to come to meetings. A limiting belief. I don't know how to close. Limiting belief. I don't know where I'm going to find people. Limiting belief. There are 5 million people. Right? If you walked out on the street, you'd have about 1,000 of them drive by you in the next 30 minutes. Hey, stop, right? I got something to tell you. But they're there, you just don't see them. Because your limiting belief has caused you to become blind to the opportunity around you. So I tell a story every once in a while. When I was in college, okay, I had an American history class from 1 to 4 p.m. one semester, right? Okay, and so I was leaving the class before at 12:30, and I had to go to the extreme other side of campus. Okay, and so I was a poor college student, and I had to walk right by the commons where they had all the food, and there was KFC. KFC was my spot. I ate there yesterday, okay? And so KFC for $1.99, you could get 12 cornbread biscuits. Hodo knows. Hodo knows. He's fired up. He knew. I was like, for $1.99. He's like, it's the biscuits. It was the cornbread biscuits, right? For $1.99, you could buy 12 cornbread biscuits. So I get there, I get my $1.99, right? I get them biscuits. I go to American history. I'm nomming on them things, right? Everybody looking around. I got the cornbread. It's all over my face. It's all over the table. They're like, bro, what's up? I'm down in 12 cornbread muffins, right? So this one day, man, I was so hungry. I was like fantasizing about the cornbread muffins in the class before. And I'm like, I'm going to have the cornbread muffins, right? So I get to the KFC and my student card, right? And I go to do it and it's insufficient. I don't have $1.99. So I'm begging. I'm at the line. I'm like, dude, can you spare me some change? They're like, get lost. I asked people for like 5 minutes. minutes begging. Couldn't get anything. I was done, right? I didn't have any credit cards, nothing on me. So I had my order of biscuits. They wouldn't give it to me. The time was running out. And I went and I sat in that American history class, and my stomach felt like it was devouring itself. I thought I was going to die, right? Okay, my stomach was like, ah! It was like the most agonizing pain ever, right? Sitting there, I couldn't listen to a word he said. All I could think about were the biscuits, the cornbread, right? It was like cornbread dreams. Okay, and I went home and I was so hungry, I was like hangry, right? I was pissed. I'm like, dude, if you don't feed me something, I'm gonna kill you, okay? So I got home and I took off my clothes and I'm taking stuff out of my pockets to put my clothes in the laundry, and there's a $10 dadgum bill. And I'm like, now I'm super pissed. I'm like, I could have had 5 cornbread muffins. I could have had 60 of them mugs, right? I could have been like bathing in the cornbread muffins, right? I had the opportunity to have abundance of cornbread muffins, but instead I lacked the cornbread muffins. Why? Because I didn't know it was there. I had it the whole time, but I didn't know it was there, so I couldn't use it. It was almost as if I didn't have it. Right. Well, guess what? You have everything you need to be successful here. But it's almost as if you don't have it because you don't believe it's there. Like the $10 in my pocket. I felt around, but I didn't see it right away. There's a nugget for you. You might not see it right away, but it's in there. You just got to feel around for it a little bit. Not feel your neighbor, feel around for it a little bit, okay? Some of you, Daniel's getting a little frisky back there. I see him. He's like, CJ, as I told you, I like bringing you to the meetings, right? Okay? You got to feel around a little bit for it, right? But think about how many of us are going hungry in the supermarket of life, and there's an abundance of food everywhere, but we've limited what we believe we have access to in order to get to where we're going. What's holding you back right now? I want you to write down the 3 limiting beliefs you think are holding you back right now from becoming what you know you could become. Success doesn't happen to people like me. I don't have the right degree. I'm not a people person. I don't think I could ever be like you and talk about being showered in cornbread. Okay? Whatever it is, there's something in there, right? That's the reason why. See, I said on the Sunday night call, we can't ever defend our current situation. Well, I'm this way because of X. No, that's a defense of why we're staying the same. Right? Versus, hey, I don't know. I got to grow. I got to learn. I'm happy with who I am, but I'm more excited about who I'm becoming. And I want to get to where I'm supposed to be going. See, when we approach life with that attitude, the limiting beliefs don't stop us. See, my friend saw all of Assad's broke people, and that limited his belief. Well, I guess I'm one of them. I saw the one guy making money, and I said, I could be as good as that guy or better. Do you understand the power of limiting beliefs? 2 people can look at the same situation, and he can see, I'm like them, and I can say, I'm like him. Right? Does that make sense? I hope you look at me and say, I could be better than that guy. I'm at least as good looking as him. Dang. Right? Okay? So, but do you say that, or do you look at the reasons why you can't be? Good. Yeah. It's your turn. See, I needed the one making money to show me it was possible. Some of you could have a dadgone army of millionaires, and you would find the reason why you're the millionaire slug that carries around, you know, his rakes at his house, right? Okay. So, what is limiting you from going to where you're supposed to be? And I hope you get real and genuine with yourself, because, you know, surface answers like, no, I don't think I'm the nicest guy in the world, whatever, it's not going to help you get to the bottom of untrapping yourself from that box of mediocrity. See, when we don't believe we should have more, we don't ever try for more. When we don't believe we're supposed to win, we don't ever try to win. It's easier to not play than it is to play and lose when we don't think we're supposed to win. What are our limiting beliefs? See, because we become ultimately what we believe. We're always moving in the direction of our most dominant thought, right? What we think about most is the direction our life goes. So what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about what you could be? Are you thinking about all the people you're going to help? Are you thinking about and visualizing your dream day? What your dream life's going to look like? Are you playing that picture in your mind? Or are you seeing the crap that happened to you at work today, and the mess you got to go home to, and the things that you wish just weren't that way? What are you looking at? Are you looking at the obstacle? Or are you looking at the prize? Because whatever you're looking at, you're going to see more of. and you're going to move in that direction. What are you looking at in life? A lack of vision is that fourth picture. And the truth is, right, I know this for me, when I came into Primerica, I had no vision for my life. My goal was to be okay. I had no vision for what I thought possible. See, Helen Keller said this, right? Okay, she said, let me get the quote in my mind, right? Something to the tune of, it's a shame to have sight but no vision, right? You can see, but you can't see, right? You can see, but you can't see. You only see what's in front of you instead of what could be, right? When Epcot opened at Walt Disney World, Walt Disney had passed away, and reporters were interviewing Walt Disney's wife. And in a widely recorded tale, the reporter asked, it's a shame Walt couldn't be here to see this day. And she said, sir, you're mistaken. Walt saw this before any of you. See, he had vision about what could be. Everything that's ever been created on this planet was created first in the mind of man. Okay, created things. I'm not talking about existing things. Created things was created first in the mind of man, and then in reality. That chair, somebody drew every ounce of that design. This little, look at this chair. Look, these little cracky things in it, right? That's part of how it was texturized. Somebody put that in their mind, put it in some sort of molding system, and created it to be that way. We see our future before we live our future. So what is the future that you're envisioning? See, that's a problem with worry and doubt. See, worry is faith in reverse. Worry is a belief in the negative outcome. Do you understand? A trust that something is going to happen that hasn't happened yet, that's not right. Okay? It's that same thing as faith. Many of us live our life in worry, which is faith in reverse. See, the Bible says faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not yet seen. What does that mean? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. In this business, it requires you to have some faith, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Not necessarily a faith in God, although I would encourage you that you should explore that, but faith at least in something you haven't seen. You've seen it in somebody else, but not for yourself. And at some point, you've got to believe that you can be there as well, because if you have no vision, it's easy to stop. Right? When I see people quit, I feel sad for them, because what it says is there's nothing in their life they need Primerica for. There's no dream that they can't have at their 9 to 5. When what that says to me is there's no dream. There's no dream, because most of us aren't living the dream at the 9 to 5. That's why we're here, right? We're looking for something to take us beyond where we are now, right? So stop and think about that, okay? Because for lack of vision, my people perish. What are you creating in your mind? What are you envisioning? Because you're going to move towards that dominant vision, right? You're going to move towards that. See, listen, when I worked at the church, I had this little 5x8 sheet of paper taped on the desk next to my touch-tone phone. Remember the touch-tone phone? Okay. The office phone, right? And it had my vision on it. I am an RVP. I make $100,000 a year, right? I do this, I do that. I have a $30,000 base shop. That had all little doodles on it, pictures, all my scribbles, because I'm ADD, right? So I'm scribbling all over that mug. Had all these things on it, right? I was writing the vision and making it plain. I was writing the vision and making it plain. And after I quit the church, I didn't know what had happened to that note. And a couple of years ago, I found it. I found the little 5x8 sheet, and you know what? Every one of those things had come to pass, and then more. I used to write down, Chris, 5 and 6 years ago, my daily planners. I'm $1 million earner. I didn't believe that for the life of me. I hoped I could become $1 million earner, but if you would have asked me, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being completely uncertain, 10 being completely certain, I would have been in the middle. I thought it was a possibility, but I didn't know if I was good enough to get that done. And I look at that, right? My wife, we moved, and she's like, what do you want me to do with all these planners? She's like trying to get me to throw them away. I'm like, first of all, there are about 3,000 people's phone numbers in there, right? So if I ever decide to go back out in the field, I'm going to need that. That's like my hit list number 1, right? Okay. Number 2, I've got all my vision. And I opened it up, and you know what I saw? From 2011, I'm $1 million earner. written out. I'm 5 years later, that vision wrote flippantly about 1,000 times because somebody told me you should write your affirmation. I'm like, all right, I should write my affirmation. Right? I literally put a vision down and it became reality. What's your vision? What are you casting? What are you telling other people about? I'm going to be $1 million earner. I'm going to have 100 RVPs. You can be one of them. Right? What is the vision that you're casting? Because a lack of vision ensures we stay in the same place. When we don't know where we're going, any path will get us there. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Boom.